Hi, friends, strangers, family, whoever you are. Welcome or welcome back. Welcome back to another anti-law of assumption episode. Just a little note here. I am a hypnotherapist, not a coach, and the work that I do is very much tied into the subconscious mind, the subconscious programming. Yes, limiting beliefs are an actual thing. And, when people talk about manifestation, most people are not referring to what the law of assumption is talking about. They're meaning like, I have an idea and I want to see it manifest into my reality. So I'm going to take the steps and do the work to make that happen. Like I did when I wanted to make a documentary or 2 or 3. I decided, this is important to me. I want to do this. What are the steps I need to take to learn how to do this? And then I did it more than once. And I'll continue to do it because that's how you make things happen. The law of assumption community is bullshit. They're lying to you. Every single one of these coaches are charlatans. And this series is set out to prove that to you. Here's the facts. I don't give a shit whether or not you ever decide to try hypnotherapy. I don't give a shit if you believe in hypnotherapy or hypnosis or whatever, because I do. I know it works. I know it's real. I understand brainwaves. So this is also to help educate you on the reality of what hypnosis can and cannot do, what the subconscious mind can and cannot do. Because yes, there are limitations. I know that this law of assumption bullshit community likes to tell you,
there's no such thing as limitations. You can have everything you desire.
That's not how reality works. And they love to talk about quantum physics. So let's do that. Let's actually talk about quantum physics. Let's react to this lady who has this channel called Create Your Future. Create Your Future is basically you've heard of puppy mills and diploma mills. Create Your Future is basically like a manifestation coach mill. And they go through coaches so much because Amanda can't keep people with her for whatever reason. And all of the coaches on this channel are charlatans. One of them I will do a deep dive into because she's also a hypnotherapist who went to the same hypnotherapy school that I went to. So she knows that what she's saying on this channel is complete and utter bullshit. And when it comes to these people, the more I listened, the more annoyed I got because I actually do help people with their issues using hypnosis and subconscious programming. And what these people are talking about is not at all how that works. And it's not at all what hypnotherapy, hypnosis, or the subconscious mind does or can do. These people don't understand science. In fact, one of my favorite scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is probably one of your favorite scientists as well, because the guy has so much information. He's super intelligent and very, very well-versed on these matters. You really should take the word of an actual physicist over a charlatan coach with no real training and academic education beyond whatever they learned in high school, if they learned anything in high school. Somebody made me aware of this video and this specific topic. I want to touch on this because one of the most delusional things, aside from the manifesting a specific person, is the idea that you can revise death, revise the past with your thoughts. So I'm going to play this clip of Amanda from Create Your Future, who Amanda, by the way, is famously known for being able to manifest fried chicken and free coffee and parking spaces. Those are her biggest manifestation claims that she loves to talk about in her videos.
Oh, look at me! I'm such a great manifester! I get fried chicken and free coffee and parking spaces!
if you were an all-powerful being with the God creation powers, coffee, fried chicken, and parking spaces is totally what a god would manifest. So, I'm going to play this clip. I want you to pay attention to what she says and listen to her. I want you to listen to what she says, and I want you to listen to what she is saying with your critical thinking mind. Critical thinking mind. So if you're in hypnosis, snap out of it. Wake up. Listen to what she's saying.
So, if you create everything, does that include the death of a loved one? Well, yes and no. Okay. Basically, in this world, we have an agreement reality that we are born and that we die. Everybody's born, everybody dies. That's just the agreement reality that we have. Okay. So, yes, in a sense, you do manifest death. Now, how do you manifest death? I don't, it's like talking about this. I really don't want to create it in my reality, but that's fine. I will for the sake of explaining this. It's sometimes, you create, someone passing away from really, from a variety of stories, if you've got the story that, cancer can't be cured, then that's what's going to be. I intend all cancers can be cured and they come to a cure of it. Now, yes, we create death. That's our belief, but really when you think about it, your consciousness, nobody in your consciousness can live or die because they don't exist to begin with. Okay, so when you look at it from a quantum physics point of view, nothing exists outside of your mind anyway. Everything in your reality is a projection of your subconscious mind. So do they die from your conscious awareness in the 3D? Well, yeah, because you've created that. But can they ever die? No, because they're consciousness and your consciousness. So you actually never really die either. You change form. Energy never dies, it just changes form. Okay. So, so that's what, I say, focus on everything good. This is why Neville said it too. Okay. Focus on everything good. You know what? I know I was so addicted to the freaking investigative discovery channel. Like, I'm sorry. And true crime podcasts. Like, oh my God. Okay. I can't. Okay. That's not good for me to focus on. It really isn't. Right. Because then I'm creating more of it in my reality. So, focus on, people being good. You know what? So I was talking with somebody about, shingles, and then boom, I ended up getting shingles. Like, oh my God. Okay. Because I was focused on it. Okay. So, don't participate in those conversations. Don't be, complaining about stuff. Like, let's start creating it to be the new norm where we all get together and talk about positive things and amazing things and how everybody's healthy and that everybody's happy and how everybody always, supports each other up. Right. And how gas prices are always amazing and how the weather is always great and we love it. So focus on good things. But can we? Sure. You can prevent people from dying. You can change the story that people live forever. But the question is, do you think you can manifest that? Me, myself, I don't care to manifest that. Like, I'm kind of okay with the fact that, that the agreement reality right now is that we're born and we live a life and then, we get old and then, and we pass away. Okay. Like, I'm good with it. And this experience is over. Great. Okay. I'll sign up for it. I'll take it. Now, do I want to change that so I live forever? Well, maybe not in this experience. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. But if you want to change that in your reality, you can definitely go ahead. And obviously, to some degree, we have that thought because there's new technologies and people are living longer. Like, people are living way longer than they did years and years and decades ago. You know what I mean? So, completely up to you, right?
Completely up to you whether or not somebody dies or lives forever. Did you hear her? Okay. But what I want to go back to is where she says this about quantum physics. So let's go back and listen to this part.
Now, yes, we create death. That's our belief. But really, when you think about it, your consciousness, nobody in your consciousness can live or die because they don't exist to begin with. Okay. So when you look at it from a quantum physics point of view, nothing exists outside of your mind anyway. Everything in your reality is a projection of your subconscious mind. So,
okay, that is not at all what quantum physics says at all. At all. So let's throw this back to Neil deGrasse Tyson and what him and Chuck Nice have to say about people like her. And let's learn about what quantum physics is actually about, because quantum physics is about particles, atoms, and when they're talking about vibrations, they mean waveforms, not your human brain and your human consciousness. But don't take my word for it, and definitely don't take Amanda or any law of assumption or any manifestation coach's opinion on it. Let's go to the expert on the subject and let's listen to what he has to say about it.
Schrodinger's cat relates a little bit to what people have called the observer effect. Okay, where if you observe something, you change it. So I can respond to both of those in the same pop, if you allow me. Okay. So let's do the observer effect for the moment. So it's unfortunate that somebody called it the observer effect, because then New Age folk and other people who are basically scientifically illiterate were thinking it's your consciousness that affects what you're observing.
Dude.
And oh my gosh, there's a consciousness field, and they go running off off the cliff.
See, what you don't understand is that like particles are totally alive, okay? And the reason why there's a collective consciousness in the universe is because like all of these particles that are spinning, what they're actually doing is conducting thought and consciousness.
They're thinking,
They're thinking, man. Rocks think, trees think, more than rocks.
Right. So let me cut through all of that and simply say that you're sitting there and I can see you because, in fact, you're illuminated by, if not sunlight through an open window, an uncurtained window, but artificial light within the room. All right, that light hits your face, bounces off your face, goes through the computing system, and I see you, okay? That light carries energy. Every photon of light that strikes your face carries energy. And then they most of them reflect, others get absorbed. Actually, it depends on how dark your skin is. Skin is very dark, it'll absorb most of them. If you have
That's because, photons, they want to be a part of this, baby.
Let me get some.
Let me
get
some.
some.
I see where we're landing. We got some good chocolate happening over here.
So here's the thing: if I made you tinier and tinier and tinier,
right?
So you're no longer a macroscopic human; you're a microscopic particle. There's a particle size below which, when you open the curtains and shine light on you, that light will hit you and pop you into another location.
So I'm smaller than the photon?
Than your capacity to move to a different state of existence, that the energy that is required to make that happen, correct.
Got it.
Is
it's
now
energy.
The same as the energy of the light that's hitting you.
Gotcha. So you hit me with
in order to see you.
Right.
And then you pop somewhere else and I say, where'd you go?
Right.
What are you doing?
So am I there? Am I not there? Well, we'll never really know because you're hitting me with something that makes me not there once you're exposing me to it.
Correct. And since it happens on the moment you're exposed, not the moment I see you, I will never know what you were doing.
Exactly.
Okay. If you're small enough for that light energy to affect you in that way. So that's why we don't think about this in everyday life, because we're too big for light to pop us into other states of existence.
Exactly.
But particles, electrons, atoms, all of this, it happens all the time. And this was a very disturbing discovery in the 1920s. We're in the centennial decade of the discovery of quantum physics in the 1920s. Because you discover this, I want to see what you're doing. Oh my gosh, you're not going to let me see what you're doing. Because the light I shine on you in order to see it is so it's really it's not so much an observer effect, it's a measurement effect.
Exactly.
Okay, get the human brain out. It's just the device to measure you can't know it.
So there you go. That's the man, the expert, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay? None of these coaches actually understand what quantum physics is, because it's about particles, not consciousness. Your consciousness has zero zero effect on manifesting your reality like that. That is not how the subconscious works. So let's debunk her saying the subconscious is a projection of your thoughts. It is not. Your subconscious is a database of you. Your subconscious holds all of your memories, thoughts, feelings, all of your experiences. Your subconscious mind is responsible for your personal behaviors, your beliefs, your actions, your thoughts, the way you react to something. So let's also talk about the microcosm and macrocosm. You often hear people say, as above, so below. So let's bring this down to the microcosm level, okay? As above your thoughts. Your thoughts are above your body, right? Your brain is above your body. As above, so below. Your thoughts create your feelings. So the thought you have above creates the feeling in your body below. So, for example, have you ever had a feeling come out of nowhere? You all of a sudden, you walk into a room and you feel anxious. Or you walk onto a stage and you feel anxious. Why? What in your subconscious has programmed you to feel anxious when you walk on a stage? Did you have a bad experience on stage when you were younger where maybe you got laughed at? Or an example from the book that I'm writing on Mind Magic, Unleash Your Subconscious Superpowers, talking about how we become programmed. So for example, if you're 6 years old and you're dancing at like a family party, a family event, and your aunt comes up to you and makes fun of you and tells you how silly and weird you look dancing and how you look like a freak and a fool and you're making a fool of yourself and how ridiculous you look, then you're going to internalize that and feel like you look stupid every time you dance, which is going to make you feel a certain way about dancing. So then that feeling comes up because you had a thought that triggered the feeling in your body. Have you ever had an experience where anxiety in your mind, you get anxious about a thought, and then you feel that anxiety in your body? Because people who experience anxiety know exactly what I'm talking about. People who have PTSD know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a thought, it creates a feeling. That is exactly as above, so below in the microcosm. And the microcosm is you, and the macrocosm is the universe. The universe is to humans what the ocean is to fish. So if a fish were to say to another fish,
"What is the ocean? I want to see the ocean. I want to know what the ocean is. I want to vibrate with the ocean."
that's the same as you saying you want to vibrate with the universe and you think the universe is giving you things. Also, let's go back to something else that Amanda said.
I know I was so addicted to the freaking investigative discovery channel. Like, I'm sorry. And true crime podcasts, like, oh my God, okay, I can't. Okay, that's not good for me to focus on. It really isn't, right? Because then I'm creating more of it in my reality.
So let's touch on this. The Discovery Channel, the true crime podcasts. I guarantee you, the majority of people that are watching and listening to true crime and investigative discovery are not manifesting serial killers into their lives. That's not happening. That is not happening. I personally love to watch Law and Crime with Jesse Weber. I love to watch Anjanette Levy. I love on the Law and Crime channel. And I love to watch Annie Elise recap all of these stories for me that are in the news. So I'm not manifesting serial killers or true crime into my reality. And it's ridiculous to think that you are just because you're watching something or listening to something. Let's move on from Amanda and let's hear what Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about the secret and manifestation specifically.
This is confirmation bias, right?
For sure.
So my favorite example here is you line up 1,000 people. It's a coin toss thing. Line up 1,000 people and have them flip a coin. And if you get tails, you sit down. Okay? So now you got 500 left. Flip it, 250. Okay? What are we down to? We have 250 people. They flip a coin. Half get heads, 120 sit down. Now we're down to 60. And then 30. And then 15. And then 8. And then 4. And then 2. And then 1. All right? So, in a classic execution of this experiment, there's one person left at the end. And you know something? That person flipped heads 10 consecutive times. So what does the press do? The press goes to that person. Say, how do you feel about winning this coin toss? I felt some heads energy halfway through, and I this felt really real to me. And I saw signs and I saw a heads up coin on the street. So I knew I was going to win. Did they interview anyone else who didn't win?
Right.
To see if they had heads energy feelings? No, they don't even get interviewed. And plus, we are so hubristic and ego-driven that we think we are special for having flipped head 10 times in a row. When almost every time you do this experiment, somebody's going to flip heads 10 times in a row.
That mirrors what I've always said about The Secret and the law of attraction. I'm like, you're only talking to winners.
Yes.
Talk to people that imagined they were going to be rock stars. Imagine.
Correct. And we don't. That's correct.
They didn't. It didn't work out for them because you can't just they might have really been thinking hard about it all day and night, but you can't just manufacture things from your mind. But what you can do is have a goal, work towards it.
Work towards it.
Have
That's
discipline,
Correct.
have focus, learn from your mistakes, improve upon your approach, and then eventually get to a place where you can look back and say, I did it all with my mind. I made it happen. I envisioned it. And I made it happen. And people are like, oh my God, he's using The Secret.
Yeah, that's right.
They're
Right.
using the law of attraction.
Right. And that's in a lot of talk shows, the mid-afternoon talk shows.
I am not a fan of Joe Rogan at all. But what he just said there, 100% I agree with. That's what I did. I had a goal. I took action steps towards that goal. Of course I had a vision for it. Of course I believed in what I was doing, but I also believed every day that this is really fucking hard. I'm never going to get it completed. I was surprised when people reached out to me and wanted to work on the documentary, but they did. And I needed all the help I could get, especially with zero money to put into it. But it was a passion project because I knew how important the subject of the S crisis is. As a mom, I'm very aware of the fact that it is the second leading cause of to people ages 10 through 34, which all but one of my children fall into that age range. So of course I care about this. I had a goal. I took action steps. I created a documentary. I released said documentary. I got celebrities in it. And this film has gone on to help so many people that I have an inbox full of countless emails from strangers thanking me for making this film. Now, maybe you've never heard of it because it's an independent film, not a mainstream film. It wasn't made by Hollywood studios. It was made by a woman, a single mom, a domestic violence survivor. But I did it because I had a goal and I had a passion and I had the skill sets and I was motivated, determined, and so I manifested this film from an idea into reality. It's not always about belief. Sometimes it is about luck mixed with hard work and talent, and also the goal setting and belief that you can do it. But to make it in Hollywood, well, we'll talk about Hollywood in a whole other series. Hollywood doesn't really fit into this law of assumption bullshit. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. But being a woman in Hollywood for the last decade, I have so many stories. We'll do a whole series about Hollywood. This is not that, though. This is the anti-law of assumption and proving to you that it's all bullshit and using actual facts and even real scientists to debunk these charlatan coaches. Because every single one of them, from Amanda to Obnoxious Laws to Scammy Ingram to Kimberly, who wants to manifest Jason Momoa as her lover, they're all charlatans. Every single last one of them. Allegedly, in my opinion only, of course. Now let's move on to Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining astrology, because that's another big thing that a lot of you people put a lot of your faith in. And I did too for a long time. And then I did an experiment that proved astrology was bogus. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But I did an experiment recently about astrology that proved to me, as a former believer, as someone who really did want to believe in this, that, well, it's just not accurate. And if you're putting your faith into it, I'm sorry. Let's go look at this.
Have you ever had like astrology or numerology or any of that kind of stuff? Like, have you ever had people do that to you? I mean, obviously, right?
All the time.
Yeah, and you're like, silliness. But I'm just saying, do you think there's any, all the time, you don't think there's any merit to like maybe the season that you're born in, or do you think there's any weight in that at all? Of like, you know what I'm saying? Like a time, or like even the emotional state of a mother, if it's a time of war, if it's a time of, you know, whatever it is, do you think that any of that plays out? Or like being a Taurus, when's your birthday?
If you're into this stuff, then you should just know.
I don't know.
There you go. Therefore, I can't.
No.
That's a great question, by the
Okay.
way. So, holding aside all the stuff that is summarily rejected by all scientific
Yeah, well, a
experiments,
lot of it's just to buy the book.
right? Like
Yeah.
just hold that at bay for a moment.
Yeah.
You can imagine long ago where if you're born in the spring or the summer or the fall or the winter, as a child, you would have different access to nutrients of the food that grew on the farm.
Absolutely.
So if you're born like the wrong time of the year, you might be a sickly child.
Yeah.
And because the food was already eaten or it was
Yeah.
spoiled by then, or you're not ready.
Out of season.
So you can imagine asserting before anyone knew anything about nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. We take vitamins because we studied vitamins. There are Nobel Prizes for each one of those vitamins that were discovered.
Yeah.
Okay? They're modern things.
Yeah.
People didn't know about vitamins, not explicitly.
Yeah.
They knew some foods kept you more healthy than other. But go far enough back, you would say, oh, I was born in February when the sun was over here, therefore I will have this personality trait. So you can imagine circumstances
Yeah.
of
Nature and nurture.
of nature and nurture come together
Mhm.
that could influence what kind of a person you might end up being.
Yeah.
Okay? But that has nothing to do with the sun, moon, and stars. It has everything to do with the nutrition of where and when you were born.
Okay.
Right. And so
So just in case you didn't catch that, literally what he just said was circumstances matter, and it has nothing to do with the moon, sun, stars, and universe at large.
but let's go a little further back. You can imagine, here you are, and let's go back to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, I love where we're at.
and
Okay.
the star Sirius
Mm-hmm.
is rising just before the sun in the
Mhm.
morning sky. Dawn.
Dawn. And Cleopatra says,
and they say, because Sirius, the star Sirius, the dog star, is visible at this time of day, right in the early morning, the Nile will rise.
Oh, so then it becomes, yeah, it's not,
See,
yeah, it's trickery.
Yeah, you're at the center of all this moving
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
So clearly the universe knows about you.
Yes.
And it's keeping you healthy, and it knows I need the Nile to flood now to
That's
irrigate.
egocentric of humans.
There it
yes,
is. It
yeah.
is so egocentric.
Yeah.
And it's still egocentric. People saying, "Oh, Mars is in retrograde, therefore my life is affected by that." You think Mars?
I think that's
you
bullcrap,
think
but
Mars gives a rat's ass about you? Just saying.
Yes,
Okay.
I love that.
Someone said it. He said it. Someone said it, and it was him.
No, wait. So you think like with astrology, it's more for like mapping it out and finding your way. And is that what you
In the
what do
day,
you think of the stars? What do you think are helpful for us? What do you think they're there for? Like, what do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think are people navigated by them?
helpful, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're not as helpful
You
as
just think they're pretty,
as
don't you?
GPS. Yeah, I think they're scientifically interesting and they're gorgeous. Yes.
Yeah.
So they help people navigate, and
Yeah.
I have books where it says, "Oh, isn't it great? God put these stars in this way to help me find my destination." Again, it's an assertion that the entire universe
Egocentrism,
orbits
or narcissistic.
you.
Yeah.
And this is part of the cosmic perspective where you learn, no, the universe is not about you. You're
Yeah.
about you,
Yeah.
and you have some control over that.
Yeah.
But the universe is not about you. And the sooner you learn that, the less your ego will interfere with your domination over others that you might feel that you
Yeah.
deserve,
Yeah.
simply because you're at the center and others aren't.
And then Mark.
Did you hear what he just said? Let's rewind that. Let's listen to that part again, because the law of assumption community, everybody in it needs to really hear this part and digest it again.
You learn, no, the universe is not about you. You're
Yeah.
about you,
Yeah.
and you have some control over that.
Yeah.
But the universe is not about you. And the sooner you learn that, the less your ego will interfere with your domination over others that you might feel that you
Yeah.
deserve.
Yeah.
Your ego is what believes you have the right and the power, or even the fucking authority, to dominate other people. I have another clip that I want to play of Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about free will and how free will works. So I really want you to pay attention to this part, because it's really important that you understand when people like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Dr. Robert Sapolsky, who I've previously mentioned and have a lot of respect for after listening to a lot of his lectures, when they're talking about we don't have free will, what they mean is, as it relates to our environment, our subconscious programming, our genetics and biology, not because you are controlling other people mentally like a mental marionette puppet. Really understand what they're saying about free will. When they're saying you don't have free will or other people don't have free will, they're not meaning that other people don't have free will in your reality. If somebody's not attracted to you and they don't want to date you, no matter how much you tell yourself otherwise, it doesn't affect their thoughts about you. Something else that I was alerted to is this clip here that I want you to pay attention to. A 30-year-old soccer coach and special ed teacher was obsessed with and trying to manifest a 15/16-year-old student. That is pedophilia. So that's literally these coaches encouraging sex workers to pursue minors. that is illegal. And on top of the blood that these coaches have on their hands, they now have predators that they're encouraging with this behavior. Because let's look at this clip and these teachers' manifestation notes. This sounds so much like the stuff you will hear encouraged in the Reddit / manifesting SP sub. So I hope the authorities pay attention to this, and I hope somebody decides to do a class action suit on all of these coaches for the harm they are causing other people. So let's go and look at this.
I get it, yeah. You can go grab your things.
A special ed teacher taken by surprise when police pick her up to question her for having sex with a student. I go through the arrest of Christina Formella and how things ended like this. Now, police said there was a section in Formella's notes entitled Manifestations, and that it read, "The teen is going to reach out to me soon and try to fix things between us. In the meantime, I'm going to live my best life knowing he's not the person I thought he was and that he is beneath me." Police said they found another note in Formella's phone from November 2024 that read, "The teen and I will connect again soon in a positive way. We will both get the closure we need in order to move on in a healthy way. We will be able to be a part of each other's lives forever. We will be in each other's lives forever. We will be able to love each other while also living our own lives." Now, while questioning Formella, the state attorney said Formella denied having sex with the teen, but in the same breath admitted her relationship with him was wrong, but she couldn't break it off because she cared too much about him. Detectives said Christina Formella had referred to the boy as her stalker and that her husband knew about this, but when they asked her husband about him, he only knew about the boy as a soccer player. Soon the questioning would end.
Sure you don't want a tissue or something?
I'm feeling I'm gonna throw up.
Bag?
Yes, please.
All right.
Let's go look at this clip with Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about free will. Again, we're debunking the law of assumption.
Here's my take. It is true that at some level of resolution that we can observe, causality is absolutely true. Given these initial conditions, this is what will happen afterwards.
That's the physicist in
That's
you
the
speaking.
physicist in you speaking. So
Exactly.
if you take it to its logical conclusion, then there is no free will because everything is predetermined by things that
Everything has an antecedent.
whether you know it or not, something is causing it to
Right.
happen.
Something
Right.
precipitated the thing
That's
that
right.
caused the thing
That's
that
right.
made
It's
that
always
happen.
going to happen. But
Right.
there is also stochastic uncertainty in the universe. It's built in. There's randomness, there's unpredictability. Yeah. And so you have to ask, I think, if you're a physicist, what level of chaos actually affects you to the extent that you could actually make an instantaneous decision based on other stuff that's not necessarily in your past experiences or what you have just seen in your current environment. Right.
But wouldn't all those past experiences and your current environment, despite the fact that if you're introducing an element of chaos so that you've never experienced this ever before, your experiences that you have had would then inform your decision about the thing that you've never experienced.
Your inform is the word.
Oh,
Is it
Rather
inform
than
or dictate?
predicate. Right.
Right. Or
Oh.
require. Right. That's the thing. That, yeah. Let's say you're in a room with a whole bunch of audience members. You tell a joke.
right.
It falls flat. In that moment, you have many things you could do to turn it into a laugh point.
True.
Right? You hear silence and you'd be like, "Oh, that was good," and then everyone laughs. Or so you make some
Or,
sort
is
of
this
comment.
mic on? You know,
Yeah,
that's
right.
the old one.
The- what do you do? Do you have the freedom to choose one of several choices that you had designed from your past, that you prepared to deal with that eventuality? Or is the choice made for you already?
But if he was less experienced, he might not dig out of that hole
Yes.
as effectively or efficiently.
Exactly.
But if you've been in 100 cases where you had a joke bomb,
Right.
you have data on how to pull out of it.
Exactly.
So statistically, you have a chance of getting people
And it
to
happens
smile.
instantaneous.
And where does that data come from? But your subconscious. So understand what these men are talking about when it comes to free will.
You
Right in
don't
the
even
moment.
realize that it's happening.
It's in the
you know?
moment.
So it's
But
in the
yeah.
moment. Right.
Did you have free will to not?
See, that's right.
Right.
So now that would be interesting because here you are in a place where your instinct, your training, and
Your
your
10,000
desire,
hours, 10,000 hours,
right,
whatever it is.
will, as a reflex, cause you to say this, this, and this, and then people go, "Wow, that was great! Look how he turned it around."
So, Charles, can I say in that comment
Yeah.
that he preloaded his neurosynapses so that in that moment, they all tripped.
Right.
They tripped.
And that preloading your neurosynapses is exactly what we do with hypnotherapy, the subconscious programming. So that way, when you're in the situation that they're proposing, like Chuck Nice says, you don't even think about it. It just happens. It just happens in the moment. You're not even thinking about it. That is your subconscious behavior kicking in because it's already been programmed.
Triggered
That's right.
to go to the solution to that problem.
Right.
The same is true.
And I wouldn't have free will at that point.
That's
It
what
would
I'm
just
saying.
be a response. What I would have is a response to
That's
a
right.
situation, not
Yes.
necessarily. I wasn't really choosing that.
It
I-
chose it for you.
It chose it
You
for me.
you have 5 choices, and then your system chooses one of the 5 or
In that
whatever,
moment.
In that moment, right?
Your system chooses one of those 5 in that moment based on your subconscious data. So do you understand the difference here? This is what I'm trying to explain. This is what I'm trying to get through to you guys through this process. I could give a shit if you ever come to hypnotherapy. I could give a shit if you ever hire me as your hypnotherapist. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to debunk the bullshit and clear away the clutter so you can understand the reality. Because as a hypnotherapist, I do believe in what I practice and I do love what I do. And I see the changes in my clients. I see them reaching their goals. I see them having the births they want. I see the VBACs happening. It's all happening. Why? Because it's about the subconscious programming. It's not about magical thinking. And affirmations help because you're just repeating to your brain, which helps with the programming because repetition is how we program the subconscious.
And so in that moment, you are not exercising free will. Did you set it up, though, with free will in the past so that you could react this way deterministically, but you actually were in control of the circumstance? Right, here's another physical example of that. A football player is trying to sack a quarterback. The quarterback jukes left. The person trying to sack the QB doesn't have enough time to think about whether to move left or right or up or down. It has to react based on years of training and practice and experience. So in that moment, that action is not free. But in the setting up of that moment, if it was free enough, does that constitute free will? From a physics perspective, it might not. Then again, from a psychological point of view or from a biological point of view, it might.
This is a really interesting conversation. All of these video clips with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm going to link them all in the description. So you can find them, you can watch them. But for now, for these purposes, for this video, I hope you understand that other people are not your puppets. Their lack of free will has nothing to do with you, but has to do with their own subconscious programming. And your own lack of free will, for example, if you are a limerent person, if you are someone who is prone to these obsessive, intrusive thoughts that the law of assumption community tends to perpetrate, You might be OCD. You might have schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenic type symptoms. This is why psychology is important. This is why understanding how your own brain works is important, because so many people want to pretend and talk about the universe like they think they understand it. The reality is, science is real, psychology matters, circumstances matter. If you're chasing an SP, you need psychological help. You might be OCD or have schizoaffective disorder. If you are somebody who is genuinely drawn to and believes in the law of assumption, you might be on the autism spectrum or very neurodivergent to believe that your brain and your brain alone is the only thing that exists. Quantum physics does not support solipsism, which is the idea that Amanda from Create Your Future is trying to claim with
Nothing exists outside of your mind anyway.
That's not true, and physics doesn't support that. Psychology doesn't support that. In my personal opinion, after watching enough videos of Amanda, she's a charlatan. She tried to be a comedian and fell flat on her ass.
Amanda Molyneux. Good evening, everybody. Anybody drinking wine? I drink Skinny Girl wine. Does it work? Wait till closing. So I switched to Fever Buzz energy drinks. If Red Bull gave me wings, Fever Buzz made me a whore. On my way down here today, I ended up walking through the dog park in New West, and I bent down to tie my shoe. Some lady tried to put a leash on me. I think I need to style my hair. And then when I went through the SkyTrain, some bum asked me for some spare change, and I said, well, I've only got Interact. He says, well, shove it up your ass. How do he know it's a chip card? So actually, I'm a customer service representative, and I look up cell phone accounts. So this girl called up, and she's calling about her bill. I can't find her account anywhere. Looking. I said, well, who's your cell phone carrier? She says, me. Not who's holding the phone. So I'm single again. That's okay. It's because I have commitment issues. I couldn't actually get up early enough to go to his house every day to hide his bushes. I think I need professional help for my commitment issues. So actually my mom is the sweetest thing, but she is definitely, technically disadvantaged, let's call it. She can't really use a cell phone much. So when I first got a cell phone, she'd call up my cell phone and leave a voicemail, and it'd always start with, so I guess you're not home. And then she actually got a cell phone, and we learned how to text message. She was so happy. But all of her text messages would start with, this is a text. And then those emoticon things, or emotion, I don't even know what they're called, but those little faces, right? She put those in, she put a space, and then in brackets she'd write smiley face beside the smiley face, right? Just in case you didn't get the picture. So the other day, actually, I saw a company, it's called Beaver Landscaping. They do custom bush designs. I figure I can get them to do my yard edging, my landing strip, even my drainage ditch. Hey, it's summer. Bikini season. So I actually don't make much money, and I'm quite cheap. So when I want to have an extravagant spa treatment, I use table salt, dish soap, I might save earwax for my beaver buzz. Thanks, guys.
She claims to be a hypnotherapist with neuro-linguistic programming training, but the reality is she's sitting here pretending she knows anything about quantum physics. So I put her bullshit up against an actual physicist. If you're someone who is going to choose to believe a charlatan coach over an actual scientist, an astrophysicist who studies this and who has made his career based on how the universe works and what it's built on and the building blocks and how reality works, I don't know what to say to you. If you're going to believe a charlatan coach, I guess good luck to you. So, here you have Neil deGrasse Tyson debunking Amanda from Create Your Future, debunking astrology, debunking your whole LoA concept of people don't have free will, to explain the reality of what that actually means. The biggest problem I have with the law of assumption community, aside from the blood on their hands and encouraging predators and is that they take terms rooted in real psychology and real science like subconscious programming, limiting beliefs, inner child work, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and they will pretend like they know what they're talking about, but they actually don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's the end of it. And we have come to the end of this video. So I'm going to end this here. And if you like this content and want more and actually want to know how your subconscious actually works, what hypnotherapy actually is, how hypnosis actually works, it's a brainwave. Theta brainwave. Then stay tuned to this channel because I hate to burst the bubble to you, but this is not a law of assumption channel. This is a hypnotherapy channel, and I am a domestic violence survivor, and I will be talking about abuse and trauma and the long-term effects, inner child work, and all of that shit. So if you like that stuff, you want to hear more about that stuff, you want to hear about personal experiences and all of that, cool. Then you want to subscribe. If you just are here for the law of assumption or anti-law of assumption content, I'm going to let you know that that is limited. This is a series I'm doing, but this is not a law of assumption channel. I am 1000% against the law of assumption. I will keep calling these coaches out because they are leading to suicides and apparently pedophilia. These are two things that should be shut down. I hope the legal system shuts them down. And if these coaches end up with prison sentences, they deserve it. So, I hope you've learned from this video, from a real scientist, what quantum physics is actually about, what free will, or the lack of, is actually about, and that people are not your marionette puppets, and that these charlatan coaches are liars, every last one of them, allegedly in my opinion. So, this is either bye or see you next time.